Stadium in Williamstown. It is Williamstown taking on Footscray.
And it's going to be Downey and Gardner in the ruck. Downey with the first hit out, no surprises there. Averaging 36 of them so far this season. Mitch Cox involved early, back into the side. Hasn't played since that round one win against Frankston. Greiser has his handball turned over. Parks not going anywhere.
Yeah, well, no Rory Lobb, of course, in the Footscray lineup. He's been the focal point up forward.
Sure he hasn't been posting about that on social media. Cox is going to bounce it forward over the head of Coleman. Ellison Toner taken down by Keith, another big name in this Footscray lineup. Baker, who was dropped from the AFL side a week ago, over the head of Orgel, and we'll throw it in.
Orgel, the skipper, stand-in skipper today, as he was last week as well. The big win over the Bombers at Marvel Stadium in the curtain raiser there. Off to a great start, and of course Riley Garcia and Mitch Haddon, who earned senior berths off that particular game. And as this ball going in long, Cox a high ball as they go to the left of your screen in quarter number one. Willoughby wrapped up in the tackle. The umpire will toss it up. Talk about some of these players in the lineup for the Bulldogs today, as Downey off a step sends it inside 50. No, could take the mark. Nelson was there. Good pressure from the Seagulls, and the ball will be tossed up. Guys like Alex Keith, Caleb Daniel played pretty well last week. There's still maybe a little bit of competition for spots there at the Bulldogs as Rich trying to come through, dispossessed. The ball eventually cleared. Jones in the one-on-one, but flying over the top nicely. McNeil takes a good mark at half-back.
Very nicely done. Kicked one goal for last week, McNeil. So the radar not quite on as Cox barrels into Hunt. Free kick, of course, but nothing more, and both players get up, which is good to see. Bianco down the line. Bonner, one of the new recruits for Williamstown this season. And O'Dwyer's taken over the line.
Was good last week, wasn't he, Aiden Bonner?
He was.
Southport.
25 touches, 8 marks. He was a driving force in that victory. Braden Crosley caused them a few problems. They're not the tallest backline this year, Williamstown, having lost Oscar McDonald and also Marty Hoare, but they work so well together. They always have a good defence in Williamstown, going back to the Andy Collins days, and now under Justin Plapp as well. Downey down to his feet. And Toner, who was the hero on Good Friday with the goal after the siren, unable to break away there. Collier Dawkins also involved. He's been terrific since coming across. Downey shovels it out to Fordham, another new player. Big body as well. And Orgel over the top of him will throw it up.
Been around the clubs, hasn't he?
Yep.
Will Fordham.
Yep.
A quality player, though. Downey getting the tap down. Orgel trying to come through, now laying the tackle, got a little high. Right here in front of us on the expensive home side of the ground is Collier Dawkins. Pulled up. He's been getting in the best players these opening couple of weeks for Williamstown. Allison, is he going to be paid that? I might have gone to the third umpire on that one, to be honest, as this kick goes deep into the pockets. I'm flying in from all directions. I can get clear. Daniel trying to come through. Now he gets another go at it. Brought down the tackle nicely by Parks. And the umpire will come in and toss it up. So the breeze, as you normally expect, it's a typical by the sea sort of breeze as the ball's cleared by Gardner. Just trying to get up towards half-back, finding his way through McNeil. Almost ran out of room. Across to Croft, who can take a bounce. He can almost take another one. As he gets to half forward, the kick is just going to drop short. Ball falls to the back. Phil Potts got a bit of work to do. Did well to evade one tackle. Might be in trouble on the second. No call from the umpire. Here's a chance for Clark. The first shot at goal. He's out of bounds, and we'll have it tossed in right in that forward pocket position, right near the jumping castle, which they've got in operation today at DSV Stadium.
Yes, I saw you trying to get onto that before, Peter. They wouldn't let you, but
I had to do my pre-match preparation.
Yeah, give it a go. Maybe at half-time. Pick 24 in 2022 draft was Charlie Clark. Getting involved there, he is very much a goal sneak. Here's Greiser. Long up the line, but Fraser, the only player there, and the young player from GWV is going to drive it inside 50. O'Dwyer misses the mark by foot, and Clark's going to get another go at it. Probably too far out to score for him. So he just sets it up to the hot spot. Gardner the target, but Downey does this so well, dropping back and taking marks.
Yeah, he did it well, as you said, Peps. Now looking just to clear D50. Going there with the punch was Petridge for Williamstown. It's going to come straight back in for the Bulldogs. Numbers there with the Seagulls. Parks, Greiser, trying to clear the space for them. Did well to just get out of the traffic. And now they can reset a little bit here, the Seagulls. That kick over the top's a good one. It's Conway who's got it. And they're out here, right into the path of Allison. Right near the boundary line. His kick across the face of goal. They had a couple of options. Corey Rich was one of those, and through 4 or behind, the first score of the afternoon here at DSV Stadium in this Smithies VFL clash, one of many being played this afternoon.
So Caleb Daniels going to bring it in. 26 touches for him last week, playing in the curtain raiser against Essendon. He'll be hoping to get back into that AFL side, but after that win over the Saints on Thursday night, not going to be an easy side to get into. Here's Croft, the father-son recruit. Long ball, but without any real direction. O'Dwyer has it set up for him, and now the corridor's open. Fordham loops it over the top. Rich kicked 3 goals last week. There's no one in the square. He sends it goal bound, but bounces across the face.
Their opportunity to pepper the goals. It's Jared Gilby going to bring footy back in. Speaking of famous surnames at clubs, he goes over the top. I'll tell you about the 23rd player this afternoon as well, as Fraser's got it. Go short, go wide, Buslinger. 23rd player, Connor Watson from Collegians, 19-year-old, makes his Smithies VFL debut, as Spicer just going without the footy there, now laying the tackle for Footscray. Got a little bit too high. It's going to be a Williamstown free kick. And it'll be Conway again to take it. Liam Conway goes wider. Collier Dawkins, very famous number 9 around these parts, is Riley Collier Dawkins. Gets around Ogle quite easily, but turns over the footy. And an easy mark for Anthony Scott.
Going to go backwards by foot. This is Keith. Now buzzling up. Has had 21 disposals and 7 marks in both his games so far this year. That one, not a great kick. The pressure from Williamstown good, but Daniel saves the day. Trademark short kick finds a target in Craig Peters. He's got a couple of numbers running on the outer side. One of those is Scott. Philpott doing well, just a corral him, but Scott picks it up, and Philpott does even better. And the Towners are away. Fordham, not a great kick, but Toner able to handle it. Closes to 49, and it's across the face once again. The breeze is pushing it that way.
It is, all 3 going to the left. And they've had opportunities, plenty of opportunities, just to straighten up and just steady themselves as they go forward there. The Seagulls, as Caleb Daniel now with the kicking in duties. John Bedendo's on our broadcast side of the ground, but playing a lone hand, so Daniel's going to go the other way. Try and get as much distance as he possibly can. There is that player, Watson, the 23rd player, just at the back, but Philpott was at the front. Kick smothered, but he gets another opportunity. Now inside 50, the Seagulls go. Buslinger through his hands, whistle. A free kick will go the way of the Bulldogs to that player. roommates with Luke Cleary. Sam Darcy as well. There you go, something that you really didn't want to know there, Peps, but I'll give it to you anyway, as Baker's got it. Into the side, the VFL side this week. Here's Keith, who can go for a bit of a run through DSV Stadium. Got a long ball, it's going to drop short for Gardner. Nice work there from O'Dwyer, and they've got the numbers here, the Seagulls. They might be able to make a pay on the overlap. Here's Petrich. He works across the ground, now into the path of Fordham. He's got time to pick it up. Is he going to steady? He's in two minds. He goes for the short option. It's a good one. No mark, though, taken by Conway, but they're going to get it back again. Twisting, turning, Fordham. This time, have they corrected? Nope, it's gone even further across the face and out of bounds on the full. And so they don't have the correction there.
No, not just yet.
We're completely the other way.
Fraser's up to 4 disposals for the Dogs. Toner's got the same amount for Willie as Fordham, who's also been busy in the early going, sees it over the line. In fact, Fordham's just moved up to 5 disposals after that last shot at goal. So he's been busy early. Came across from Frankston in the off-season, as did Riley Stoddard, who's not out there today through injury, but has been a good player for them over the first 3 weeks of the season. Fitzgerald, another new recruit, sends it inside. Rich got the hands free. Ebinger's been a goal kicker to start the year. Scott, though, able to relieve. Orgel doesn't have a lot to go to, so he just skims it up along the line, and the Dogs are happy to see it over with Bedendo. It's 3 behinds to nothing. Beautiful day for footy in Williamstown. I hope you're enjoying the coverage on afl.com.au and the AFL Live official app. There is Watson, the 23rd man. But we're going to have to throw it in once again. So, young fella had his first touch of the ball taken away from him. But he'll get to go at it again versus Petrich. Petrich first hand to it. Bianco will see it over the line.
Yeah, got a height differential there. Has Watson. First Smithy's VFL game. Petrich trying to take that front position. He got there nicely. There is another whistle for holding. It's going to be a Seagulls free kick to the ruckman. Now he looks up, sees a whole lot of one-on-ones up the grounds. So maybe switching the play might be the best option. Bonner. Oh, had to be careful there. It was not Coleman, it was O'Dwyer. Kick up the ground is good. Minton Connell. Gee, talking about famous names. There's another one. Into the middle of the ground they go. That is Coleman. Cross to Brown. And his kick inside 50 needs to be pinpoint, and right at half forward, Mitch Cox comes out and takes it. Now, with the breeze, he will get the trip, but it's about the accuracy. We know the ball is going from right to left. Early stages here, midway through this first quarter. So let's see whether he can actually have the accuracy, hang it out a little bit to the right and bring it back on the breeze. Experienced player, Mitch Cox. He's changed his number in the off-season. Let's see what he can do from 55. Well, gives you an idea of what the breeze is doing.
That's 4 behinds now for Williamstown. Footscray yet to score. Kick put into the path of Bianco, but too much on it. Joins Footscray this year after losing his place on the Collingwood AFL list. Worked out pretty well for Caleb Poulter last year. So Trent will be hoping he can have a similar rise this year. Speaking of, here is Poulter, but unable to keep it in.
Look at the sides that the Bulldogs have beaten so far this season. You talk about the names that are in there, but you know, GWS Giants,
yep,
at Whitten Oval, Casey, and that game away. They're doing some nice things, knocking off Essendon last week.
They certainly are. This is their first game against the standalone this season. Bianco up the line. Parks well placed. Takes a strong defensive mark, and well, conversely, it's Williamstown's first game against an AFL opponent this season. McNeil affects the turnover. Bianco will get another go at it. He can take as much ground as he likes. Closes to 45 and drills it for the first of the day. Kicked 2 last week, Bianco, and has the first of the day.
Well, a little bit of what we saw last week as well from Footscray in terms of that quick movement through the middle of the ground in particular. They finally got that space, and Bianco went to, well, as long as he possibly could. Had to put a little bit of extra on that one. They've had no problems closing in. Had a lot of time, a lot of space. They just run it so well. And you got that competition for spots in the AFL side with these teams. And I know, obviously, Bianco's not one of those players up for selection, but just seems to make the team better.
A rising tide lifts all boats sort of situation there, Peter.
Very nice analogy, looking at the beautiful view we have here out to Port Phillip Bay. Magnificently worked in there. Craig Peters at the bottom of this pack. Push, the umpire said. Downey, and we'll take the free kick. Go wider. Baker. As I mentioned, into the VFL lineup. Omitted from the AFL side at the big win over the Saints. Here is Watson, the 23rd player. Too far out to score. So off a step, he's just going to aim for the pockets. Grab not the second. Downey. The handle on the footy. They're in a little bit of trouble. Need to be clean from here. Trifford's brought down. And the umpire says too high. So, as well as copping one, Toby Trifford, he got dacked at the same time. That's the level of coverage you're getting on afl.com.au and via the AFL app as the ball into the middle of the ground. Clean bowls the initial pack. Cleary now having to lay the tackle. And the umpire will come in and throw the ball up. Conway just throws it back. As Cox trying to get that footy out of there. Tackle Collier Dawkins might have wandered high. No, we'll have it tossed up. So we head towards 7.5 minutes in this opening quarter here at DSV Stadium.
4 scoring shots to 1, but it's the Dogs with the lead. Collier Dawkins laying the tackle again.
Well, push and shove there from Clark and Paulson.
Well, they are local rivals in some respect, these clubs. Fordham. Well-weighted ball. Able to find Rich, who works hard up the ground. That was a feature of his game last week. Whistle with a free going to Williamstown, but it's going to have to come back. And it's Toner. Pops it to Parks. Bonner.
Come back to O'Dwyer here if he wants to.
Yeah, instead goes more centrally to Paulson, but the kick didn't go far enough, and that's created a problem. Bonner needs to be good. Bedendo worried him out of it. Took possession of the footy. Couldn't quite get it to Croft. Working is Bianco. Paulson tries to clean up the mess. Gets it out of D50 at least, but not much more than that as we'll throw it in.
Probably professionally handled that one in terms of where he placed that kick. Right near the boundary line with a player running across to try and sort of half pick it up.
Yep. Very smartly done.
So back into play we go. Gardner at the back. Daniel forced to lay the tackle. They did well here though. The Seagulls. Toner. Kick up towards half forward. Petridge. Working there on Buslinger. Doing well, Petridge. Well done, Buslinger as well. He eventually picks up the footy. Did a great job, the Bulldogs player. As this kick high up and under. Fordham was sitting underneath it for the Seagulls. It's right near the boundary line and it's going to stay in. They've got some run on this outer side. As now the kick goes up towards the 50. Bonner being held and will take the free kick. I think that one very clear for the umpire out there. Shorts, Paulson. Another season as skipper of this Seagull side to Brown. He's got O'Dwyer running alongside. Spicer bearing down on him, managed to get the kick away. And now Greiser inside 50. And they've worked that nicely. By a short kick, it was effective. Evinger's going to have the shot at goal. A little bit further in than what Mitch Cox had earlier in this quarter. Well, let's see if they've learnt from the previous experience. Into time on in this opening quarter. As Peps mentions, in amongst the goals, a target for them down there this season. Now he's gone out to the right, try to bring all of that back, but through for a behind. Didn't quite just have that bend on it. So 5 points plays 6 points. 1 goal plays 5 behinds into time on this first quarter.
Buslinger goes short to Hunt. Tyro opened the boundary line with the kick, but taken in the end by Willoughby. Back for Buslinger. The Dogs are going to try the outer side. Well, they abort that mission and go corridor instead. Fraser, Buslinger. Now Poulter. Long up the line. Clark's in a contest against O'Dwyer, and O'Dwyer, the much bigger body. Collier Dawkins now. Just bangs it long. Buslinger well placed. Ebinger did well. But the Dogs able to get out of danger. Poulter, Bianco, run into trouble. Turnover time, Philpott. Looking for Toner. Daniel confronts him. And we'll toss it up. Buslinger, 7 touches, the most on the ground. Fordham, O'Dwyer and Toner each have 6 for the Seagulls. Here is Willoughby. Put his head over it. Then tried to force his way out, but Downey took him high. And he'll have the free.
So look at the inside 50s count as well. 11 plays 10 with opportunities. Just felt the Seagulls have had more of it. Willoughby. Pick up the line. Allgill just overrunning it. And we should have another stoppage here. We will. So very even opening quarter. Breeze blowing slightly across the ground, coming off the bay. That's Poulter to go underneath. Bianco, very prominent in this opening quarter. 2-1 in favour of Williamstown. And Bonner takes the mark. Croft is taking his time, getting up. Interception here. Bedendo did a good job. And now his inside 50 kick is superb. Well, that should be noted by Stuart Edge, who's coaching in game number 51. That effort from Don Bedendo. It's with Charlie Clark. Kick up to the top of the square. Bonner flies. Free kick. This is going to be a Footscray free kick. It will be. And it's Artie Jones, I think, is going to get it. It is. Top of the goal square, pretty much. Well, that's where the player on the mark will be, or a couple of metres just in front. So it must have been something to push out from that contest or holding.
Yeah, it looked like it. I think everyone had their eyes on Croft flying in from the side.
So Jones misses. He stabbed at it, but pushed it to the right. So heading towards quarter time. 7 plays 5, a low scorer in this opening term.
It's his first behind of the season, Artie Jones. 6 goals straight coming into today. Greiser has done this job for a long time for the goals. Brings it back into play. Ellison coming from a long way, but mark is taken by Cleary. Former Sandringham Dragon puts it to a good spot. Off hands. Bedendo with a strong tackle. Clark involved as well. No Pryor. So 1-1 plays 5 behinds. Approaching quarter time. Downey and Gardner to do battle. Hurried kick from Bedendo.
Oh.
Jones tried the spectacular and gave away a free in the process. It's going to be Philpott's ball. And just goes short to Bonner. Fitzgerald. Now Paulson. Dogs have set up pretty well forward of the ball. Paulson's going to take on Orgel though. Gets around him, takes a bounce. That's a good ball for Ebinger. They might have a chance here, Williamstown, to snag one before the first break. Although doing really well is Alex Keith to get a fist on that one.
Yeah, did well. It's that movement from Paulson. He just took off, didn't he? Knew that if he could just get a few more metres, he'd be able to set up his team. Did a great job of that. Yeah, spare a thought for the boundary umpires on that side of the ground. They're holding up the breeze. Gardner pushed out by Downey in the end. Brought down is Stretton for Footscray, and the umpire will come in again. Footscray with the bye coming up next week. His push and shove continues as Corey Rich just pushed to ground. Downey got the tap down. Fraser coming through, held up. They'll do it all again. The importance of banking early wins in this competition. The way the byes are structured, there's a holding free kick. It'll go Footscray's way. There's Gardner to take it. One of these teams will be 4-0 right at the very top of the Smithies VFL ladder as Jones flew, but at the back, Minton Connell takes the mark. Harrison, Minton Connell. Short option, goes with it. Down around his ankles, Joel Fitzgerald takes it. Looks up at a very stagnant 50 for Williamstown. Here's Paulson. Just go by short kick again. Minton Connell. Short kick. Well, O'Dwyer was there ready and waiting, but Keith was there as well. As this ball going back inside 50 for the Seagulls. Ball to the back, bustling up. Now having to lay the tackle. The Bulldogs will hold this ball up and we'll have it tossed up as we head towards quarter time. 2-point lead to Footscray.
Ball thrown up. Fraser clears. Paulson used the body well, but then got a cruel bounce, which allowed Scott to come in. And here's Baker using his pace. He's got plenty of it. Thought about a third bounce, eventually took one. He can keep going. He's taken 4. Drives it long into the pocket, but the breeze carried it out of play. And Spicer, he's disappointed because he had a clear path to goal. Brown looks to rebound for Williamstown. This is Josh Brown. We've got Josh Brown in the 12 and Jack Brown in the 28. This is O'Dwyer. And at quarter time, it is a 2-point game. Footscray 1-1-7. Williamstown 5 behind. Trent Bianco, the only goal kicker on the field, with the goals trailing by 2 points. Trent Bianco, the only goal of quarter number 1. Collier Dawkins couldn't quite get the hands free. Bianco's got a hold of him. Of course, a handful of years on Collingwood's AFL list for Trent Bianco. Missed out on the premiership last year. Here's Greiser. He's got Coleman or Toner. The ladder hangs on. Under fierce pressure, it must be said, from Cleary. Toner, wobbly old kick. Ellison has it thumped away by Keith.
Leading disposal winners on the ground. Bustlinger with 7, along with Cleary. O'Dwyer for the Seagulls also with 7. Now joined by his teammate in Toner. They're the leading disposal winners on the ground at 13 apiece in terms of inside 50s. As the ball tossed back in. Philpott just led to the footy in the end by Scott. The ball will be cleared. Craig Peters putting it into the middle of the ground. One grab and a second for Croft. Now he goes with a long ball inside 50. Here's Baker. He's got the sit, he's got the drop. He's just got to put on his boot.
Oh.
He didn't. Well, good defensive work here by the Seagulls. It may come to naught. Down there is McNeil trying to get boot to ball. He can't do so either. Seagulls with a few numbers. Now they should be able to clear Polson. Handball over the top. Into the path here of Greiser under pressure. Back to Polson. Right near the line. His kick looking for Coleman. He's going to get a push out. He is. And we'll take the free kick and away they go. Here's Collier Dawkins. Just being held up temporarily. We'll go into the middle of DSV Stadium. His kick across the ground is a good one, looking for Gadsby, who takes the mark. Continues on. Long ball inside 50. Fist coming in there from Keith. He's going to have to follow up his work here. Did a good job. Handball over the top. They've got the overlap. Nice work there from Bianco as well. Gardner. Jones. Works it across. Bedendo towards half forward. The kick is okay. As Craig Peters goes towards half forward. Now they're on. Frazier will have the shot at goal and he'll put it through. It was a low ball, but that's probably the best option if you're kicking to that end of the grounds. It wobbled, but it was successful. And they've got their second now, Footscray, early on in this second quarter.
First goal as a dog for Joel Frazier, pick 45 in last year's draft from the Horsham Saints. Came third in the GWV Rebels Best and Fairest last year. Also represented Vic Country and did so pretty well throughout the carnival. Of course, a lot of people were watching Vic Country, mostly for Harley Reid, but there were a few other pretty good players there as well. Think of George Stevens now at the Cats, and Joel Frazier, one of those as well. Back in the middle. Perfect bounce. Downey gets it down, but only as far as Bianco. Up and under kick. Leading Spicer to it is Parks. And, well, this is where the Dogs have been able to defend the ground really quite well, but they haven't been afraid to go corridor, the Towners, and they might be looking to do that again. Fitzgerald gets to Collier Dawkins. Greiser wants it on the broadcast wing, and that's where it goes. And Greiser's one of their designated kickers. Doesn't have a lot to go to further afield though, so just pops short to Philpott. Now Toner. Disposal number 9 coming up for him. Ellison calling for it deep in the pocket. And Toner's going to go a little bit more centrally with the kick. It holds up in the breeze. Fist comes. Coleman. Can he conjure something? Not on this occasion. Cleary. Bianco. And now Anthony Scott has it on the wing, but kicks it straight to Bonner.
Who will go short. Let's see if they can get out this time. O'Dwyer. So Finn O'Dwyer looks up. Doesn't see a hell of a lot that he likes here. Polson. He's just running out of room, so he's just going to go wide looking for Parks, who had to scramble, but he did well just to catch it in the field of play. Now it's got a couple of Seagulls just in front of our commentary position. Decides to go just on the 45 for Greiser, who's again being held up. Good defensive pressure from Footscray. Philpott's the short option. That's where he goes. It's up again. No one really leading towards Philpott at the moment. The short option is Toner. That's ignored. Going to go longer to the pack of players. Not the best option. Craig Peters shot the handball out. Here's Cleary. His kick going long. It's 2-on-1 in favour of the Bulldogs, and Bedendo's got it. He's going to take his time because there was no one really in front of him. He just goes with a long high ball, and that's going to go over the head of Croft and through for a behind. Now a little bit more time there to assess his options. Either gone quick or taken his time. He decided to go right in the middle of the two options.
And that usually doesn't lead to success as Fitzgerald goes short on the kick in. Gets it back. They've struggled getting it out of their defensive half. Big pack of players. Craig Peters off hands. Long, top of the square. Paulson lost it for a moment in flight, but able to recover. Dangerous looking ball is okay for Fordham. And well, they might be away here. Greiser, but the Dogs doing such a good job compressing the ground, and they force the turnover.
Oh.
But well done, Paulson. Turns it back over. And now Fordham gets it to Philpott. Ellison. Next link in the chain will be Toner.
Go.
He's got Petrich in the pocket. Through his fingertips, though. Has time to recover. And he threw it. Caleb Daniel will come away.
He will. They'll be able to make them pay. As Bianco back to Daniel. Just evades the traffic. Then goes to Keith. Long ball heading inside 50. Bonner's got the front position for the Seagulls. Working hard, McNeil. Lost the handle on the footy. Now long ball from Craig Peters. Right to the line. It's going to be a Bulldogs mark. To show how quickly they can move that football. I think it's Bedendo who's got it. It is. Now he's going to be on the tight angle, but this one is very, very kickable for Dom Bedendo. Right next to that behind post. He's going to wheel around. Hasn't got much room to play with. That ball's hanging for an eternity. Coming down, I think he's kicked it. He has. And the push and shove as well in the forward pocket. Continues after that. It was one of the more interesting kicks that you'll see. It went straight up in the air, but it was effective. And the breeze might have played a little bit of a hand in that as well. And I think Bedendo's just being reminded of that fact. But another one on the board here for Footscray. Opening up a handy advantage in this second term.
Geez, I think it was Paulson on the mark. Did a really good job to, I guess, time it up with the umpire to when he said play on, and almost got a hand to it. But as he said, Peter, Bedendo able to get away with one there in the end. And it's going to be Downey up against the first gamer. Watson in the ruck. Maybe a chance for an advantage here for Williamstown. Collier Dawkins just missed it. Goes back and gets it. Triffett. Conway. Back to Triffett. Over the head of Greiser, but it might still work. Ends up with it, does Greiser. Puts it into the path of Rich, who marks. Ellison offers a short lead. Goes beyond that into the pocket. Ebinger can't hang on. Toner keeps it alive. Buslinger also. And the Dogs out of danger. Keith. Long ball. Clark's got to go to work. Collier Dawkins did well just to get a hand in. Now he's got two Dogs on top of him. And the umpire says, my ball. Greiser's worked his way up to 11 touches. Toner with 10. Bianco and Cleary have 9.
Downey. Oh, he sent that to the boundary line, perhaps dangerously. Bulldogs want to keep it in. I thought that ball was out, but Scott kept it in. As it's now with Willoughby. His kick going up towards half forward. Bit of work to do here for Gardner. Has two Seagulls to contend with. Near the line it goes, and we will have it tossed in. All the play pretty much has been down that end of the ground, the left of screen, with the breeze in this second term. And Footscray making the most of it. They've kicked 2 goals, 2 goals 1, I should say. And Williamstown yet to score, still stranded on 5 behinds. Downey the front position, going against the 23rd player, Watson. Philpott might have just crept a little bit high. He did. So Bianco will take the free kick. And will he decide to have a go here? Certainly he'll make the trip, but we've seen in that opening quarter a couple of shots from this particular angle and distance proved to be troublesome. We had one hang out to, one that sort of shanked across to the left, one that was pushed out to the right and didn't come back on the breeze. So Trent Bianco kicked a goal in the opening quarter. Runs around from 50. Does he bring it back to the line? It's there. He's got 2. And Footscray kicking clear.
That's a great finish from Trent Bianco. Did what the Williamstown players couldn't do in the opening term and was able to use the win to his advantage. And they've built up a nice little 21-point buffer here. The Dogs just struggling to get anything going forward of centre Williamstown at the moment. That inside 50 count is pretty even, 19-17 in Footscray's favour, but clearly the Dogs doing a much better job of making it count on the scoreboard.
And locking it in as well,
Yep.
I think too, Peps. Because at the time inside 50, we don't have that stat, but been plenty, particularly in this quarter for Footscray.
So you need ground this one, and it seems like Footscray playing it pretty well. Williamstown usually have such a strong advantage as Craig Peters through the traffic. Gives it off. Here's Bianco again. Searing little ball. Finds McNeil. Had to take it at full stretch, and it was an absolute bullet going into his hands.
Shows you how quickly, and one of the reasons why this Footscray team is 3-0. They can just take the game away from you. It took a while to shake off Essendon last week. They got going in the third quarter.
So as I mentioned, 1 goal 4 last week for Lockie McNeil. He's going to try and bring it back using the wind, and he does just that as the Dogs go bang bang from outside 50.
Yeah, as I mentioned, it took a while. They were very competitive, Essendon, in the first half, but then Footscray just really the class, put the foot down at the start of that second half, and they're doing a similar thing here. Getting it out of the middle of the ground, taking control.
Yeah,
They've had good success here over the years in this competition too, should mention, Peps.
Yeah, well, I remember doing a game here a couple of years ago where Jamara Ugle-Hagan kicked 6 against Williamstown at this ground. Of course, now doing great things in the AFL as we all expected, being a number 1 pick.
So pressure on the Seagulls. They need to respond midway through quarter number 2 here in the Smithies VFL. Of course, you want a wrap of everything that's happened across the weekend. There's so much happening today. Smithies VFL, Rebel VFLW. Make sure you catch the podcast, State of Play, wherever you get your podcast from every Tuesday. That downloads as Orgul was pinged for holding the footy here. Hosted by Gemma and Joey. If you're doing sort of a possession sort of statistic on the podcast, Gemma would be way out in front. I feel that Joe needs to lift just that little bit.
He tries.
I'm not sure about that as Greiser spends a lot of time picking up free merchandise and going to Adelaide. As Greiser goes long. A high ball. Front position. Fraser is going to be paid the mark. He will. Now looking to go backwards, to go forwards. Gilby working across the ground. Keith. Gilby again. Now it's got Holter. There's the option across the ground. Oh, coming in for the intercept. Gadsby did well. It's a wide open 50, so he's just going to drop the short ball in. Ellison working hard here is Brown. That's Jack Brown. Yeah, he's caught over the footy. We'll have it tossed up. Former Bomber over here at Williamstown. Probably one of the best chances for the quarter to score here is Downey. Spills free right to the line. This may come off. Conway's got there. Little lifter for the home side. And their first goal of the game coming 15 and a half minutes into quarter number 2.
Well, it was about this time last week where Southport really seemed to have the ascendancy over Williamstown, but then late in the second and throughout the third and early in the fourth quarters, the town has kicked 12 in a row. I'm not predicting they're going to do that here, but they certainly are capable of lifting when they're on the mat. And that was a much-needed goal from Liam Conway, an unlikely source, but I'll take them from wherever they can get them at this stage.
Well, at the moment, the way things are going, they're just hack kicking it inside 50. It's their only opportunity, to say.
That's right. The Dogs defending this ground really, really well. As we go again in the centre. Watson mistimed his jump. Fordham may have been held. Tried to tap it on. Willoughby. Poulter goes in. Wins it back. Long up the line. Greiser well placed, but using his body was Scott.
Ooh.
But he used it illegally. Parks for Fitzgerald. Long up the line. Cox sets himself. Almost took a fantastic mark, but he'll have to settle for a boundary throw in. Of course, didn't get anywhere near as high as James Willis did last week. That was a serious grab. And you're going to be hard-pressed to find one better than that at any level of footy this year. As we throw it in. Downey first hand to it. Cox will see it over once again.
So heading towards time on in this second term. I just feel that the Seagulls need the next one to build some sort of momentum. Work with the breeze in the third quarter. They've got plenty of experience to be able to do that. It's Downey, this ball right near the line. Cox again bundled over. Right in front of our commentary position. The expensive home side of the ground. Bit of push and shove too. Not liking the attention there, Toby Triffett. Going up against Caleb Poulter.
Yeah, he's a feisty customer, Triffett.
Just firing up. Is this ball about to be thrown into play? So Connor Watson trying to get that tap down. Here is Triffett. Philpott. Around the body, was just pushed off his kick. Cox having to work from behind there. Poulter front position. And the boundary line wins out. We'll have it tossed in again.
Bianco up to 12 touches with those 2 goals. Greiser leading the way for the goals with 12 of his own.
Excellent crowds here this afternoon. The home of the Seagulls. Downey with the front position. Craig Peters getting through the heavy traffic. His kick up the line. This should find the boundary and will. We will have it tossed in into attack here for Footscray. 32 plays 11. What's been a contest, the second quarter dominated by the away team.
As Peter said, if they can just find a way to sneak 1 or 2 before the half, they'll feel really good about where they're at. Williamstown, Craig Peters taken high. Maybe some of his family members in front of us. Dishes it off to Poulter. Drives it long, top of the square. Outnumber with the goals. And they win the free. O'Dwyer had over 20 touches in every game so far this season. Not something you usually get from your full back, but he's a pretty good distributor. As he drives it long to a pack. Was it touched before the line? It was just.
Well, I think he spends a little bit of time up the ground as well. I see now starting to build that experience factor. Only at Port Melbourne.
Yeah, they've got a few of those, the Towners, a few of those guys who have been here for 2 or 3 years now and starting to become more experienced at this level. Craig Peters is one of those players for the Dogs. His kick partially smothered. Greiser to Toner. Another emerging player. And he threw it. So Willoughby is going to take the free. Kicked 2 goals, 1 last week. Playing that sort of nippy small forward role. Laid 5 tackles as well. And not even a thought of passing it off.
Well, he's seen what his teammates have done.
That's right. Similar spot from where a couple of them have kicked goals already in this quarter. And he does the same. Starts it right, drags it back. The Dogs back out to 27 points.
Well, they've worked out how to do it now. They have played the breeze beautifully in this second term. That Footscray. They just had the sider there. No, he can get the trip, just need to have the aim. And just again, pushed out towards the right, and it just comes back beautifully. Much like your golf shots, don't they, Peps?
No, they usually go right and stay right, unfortunately, but we'll work on that.
You don't actually, the only green stuff you see are the leaves of the trees when you're trying to find your ball?
Pretty much. Pretty much. We're working on it, but that's a 5-1 quarter. Now, for the Dogs, they are looking terrific.
Certainly are. Playing the conditions nicely. Gardner in the ruck with Petrich for the Seagulls as ball spills out into the path of Fordham. Working hard is Gardner now. He's wrapped up in the tackle. We'll have it tossed up again. As the push and shove continues, Gardner just copping some attention. Holding going on, and it will be a Petrich free kick. Now they break for him. Just need that little sense of urgency here, the Seagulls. No one really running for him, presenting as a viable option. So he's just going to decide to go long, up towards half forward. It's going to drop short. Orgel just went the fist, but it fell into the arms of Poulter, who goes up the line. Croft over his head. Ball falls to the back. Petrich again will just work it. Bonner will go wide, and this is okay because he finds Minton Connell. He's at half back, but again, players presenting. Dwyer is the short option. Philpott probably longer near the boundary line. That's where that ball's going to go. Allison there as well. Poulter inadvertently kept that footy in. I don't think he realised that he had. And now Allison will see it over.
He did not want to keep that in. But he gets the desired result eventually. His side leads it by 27. Late in the first half. Petrich able to squeeze a handball away. Poulter dragged down through the traffic. Fraser dispossessed. Going to ground is Fraser and also Petrich. Hunt forcing a kick forward is Willoughby, but straight over the line. Craig Peters up to 11 touches. He's gone from being a crafty small forward to playing a lot more in the midfield this season. Good to see that even in an AFL lineup, there's room for players like Cooper Craig Peters to develop into larger roles. Gardner puts it on the boot. Bonner almost missed his fist. Scott tried to hack it out of mid-air, and the Williamstown defence forced to be under pressure once again. 1-5 for Williamstown and almost a half a footy. Footscray 6-2-38, using the wind to full advantage in this second term. Gardner takes it out of the ruck and spins it over his head in the end. He'll have another go, Gardner. This time off to Poulter. Steadies. Centers. Spicer underneath it. Collier Dawkins as well. Not paid the mark in the end, but he got a push in the back.
And the winner of today's game will go to the top of the Smithies VFL ladder, with Werribee falling to GWS down at Avalon Airport Oval a little bit earlier. Collier Dawkins finds Fordham here. As the kick, well, front position, well, in the middle of the pack actually, in the end was bustling up. Orgel wants to go on, just hesitated for a moment, then went long ball inside 50. Croft working his body. Here's Jones, shot the handball out, trying to find a player in space. It'll fall to Poulter. Got the receive from Scott. Just took his time to Caleb Poulter, looking for the best option. Ooh. Running through there, Willoughby was bumped off the footy. Now the Seagulls can go. They've got two players. There's a Bulldog player down in back play here, and Allison can't keep the footy in. Is it Willoughby? It is, who's just down in back play off that bump that we saw, Pep. So the trainer's getting to him. He's still on his haunches down inside the Bulldogs 50. There's the ball tossed back in here. Right in front of us. Fordham lost a handle on it. Stretton. He was dispossessed as well. Turnover for turnover as this ball right near the line should go over. Toner under pressure from Gilby. And we'll have it tossed in. assume that Willoughby is okay. He's leaving the ground under his own steam.
Yeah, that's right. Making his way off the ground. But he is up and about, which is good to see. Heavy knock, nothing illegal in it. Gardner takes it out of the ruck and wobbles it forward, but Parks steadying, calm head in defence. Almost a like-for-like replacement for Marty Hoare in a lot of ways. Just a reliable defender, Luke Parks, former Carlton player. Talking of reliable defenders, here's O'Dwyer. Last line of defence, pops it over the top to Collier Dawkins, who can go. They've got Fitzgerald out of side.
Not much else though ahead.
Yeah, they're stuck. It's very stagnant so far today from the goals. A lot of this long up the line. Ellison's got to contend. Petrich almost took it from the side. But they're just playing almost train stop to train stop. And against a side that's as well drilled behind the ball as Footscray, it's going to make it very difficult to score when you're playing like that. But we'll have another go at it. Downey thumps it forward. Gardner finds the handball option in Baker. Swings around the body. Parks going back with the flight. Ends up with McNeil, and the Dogs a chance to get some speed on the ball. Over the head of Croft. O'Dwyer did well. Read it well in flight, but Gadsby's taken down. We'll throw it in.
Train station to train station. So what? Williamstown to Newport.
That's right.
To Spotswood.
Spotswood.
So this ball tossed in on that outer side. Feel I can't do that for much longer. Footscray is also involved in the mix there on this train line.
Seaholm.
Is not sure that's on the line as Baker from 50. Long ball. It's got the trip, but through for a behind. So really good margin here for Footscray heading into half time at DSV Stadium. And Bonner, good last week for the Seagulls. Win over Southport. Here's Fitzgerald. Looks up, thinking short kick again, thinking of switching in a couple of minds. Has been the problem. Credit to Bulldogs defenders. Paulson just runs out of room, runs out of time. Jones, well, there might be a bit of tunnelling going on there. And it will be a free kick. It'll go the way of the Bulldogs. Bedendo's got it again. Now, this will be interesting to see what he does here, because we haven't had a shot on this angle yet this afternoon. And we're pushing it out towards the right to try and bring it back around. He'll go on the curve. Already kicked a goal in this second term. Let's see what he can do. Round he goes. Has he brought it back enough? It's coming back with the breeze. Just missing on that right-hand side. But 6-4 plays 1-5 as we head towards half-time here at DSV Stadium.
They're very difficult from that angle. Bonner bangs it long. Hugging the boundary line. Ebinger almost. They certainly don't want to concede another one before the break. 29 points. Going to be difficult enough to chase down. Downey locking horns with Gardner once again. Poulter closes to 50. Centering ball. Croft is there. Good defence. O'Dwyer, is it socked through? Not quite.
I think McNeil was sort of half appealing for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure he got a boot to it, but either way, the result is a minor.
So Minton Connell will run the full measure and just go long. Touch footy, but it's going to come straight back in again. Alex Keith just with a high ball. And now just off the pack, Bianco trying to bring it back. He does. Oh, that one hurts if you're a Seagull supporter. Bianco, we saw him kick great goal down the other end of the ground in the opening quarter. And that one just as special. And that's huge heading in towards half-time here at DSV Stadium. 47 plays 11. Well, and the pressure here on the home team.
And that takes Bianco to 13 touches and 3 goals. It's a pretty good opening half. Of course, he's one that clubs will be monitoring pretty heavily. We're getting close to the mid-season draft. It's about, 6 weeks away now?
Oh, where's the year going?
It's going very quickly. It certainly is. We'll get into that at halftime, no doubt. Aging rapidly we are. Anyway, Gardner has battled well against Downey in the ruck, it must be said. And the siren sounds for half-time. That last goal from Bianco could be a backbreaker. It's a 36-point game at the half. 7-5 fought just the one major in that opening half. That came courtesy of Liam Conway. Collier Dawkins taken down by Gardner, who did really well not to get high. And he had it too long. Clark takes the advantage. Reading it well in flight and taking the mark is O'Dwyer. So a somewhat positive start defensively, but this is where the goals have struggled all day. Moving the ball from defensive 50 to attacking 50. The Bulldogs have defended the ground so well, but maybe Coleman can change that. Got a cruel bounce. Cleary, Keith has a teammate running corridor. That's Gilby. And he finds Orgel, the captain today, in the absence of Josh Chatfield. Bianco has been terrific so far, and taking the mark is Clark.
A little bit of jostling going on to the side of that contest, but Clark coming through, strong position.
Yep, Charlie just let the big boys fight, and he went and got the ball. Kicked 1-1 last week, Charlie Clark. Known for his work around the sticks. 4 goals, 3 for the season, and he's put that well across the face. Just sneaks in for a behind.
So Jake Greiser, the vice captains as well. See the jumping castle that end of the ground just being deflated after half time.
What did you do?
No comment on that. Clearly, I'll tell you what I didn't do. Didn't win the raffle as Fordham, or that I know of anyway. So at half back, trying to get something going. They've been stagnant as they go up the ground to the Seagulls. In that opening half, Downey with front position takes the mark. Across the ground to Ridge. Did he take clean position? He did. It's on that edge of the square. On centre wing. Fordham's got some time to steady. And then send the Seagulls long inside 50. Keith with the front position. Willoughby. Now Toner. Quick kick out of the pack by Coleman. This will get them started. Blake Coleman, former Lion, gets his first of the afternoon. And that might just be the spark that gets Williamstown going here.
It's been quiet so far, Coleman, but we all know he's one of those players who can just have 2 or 3 moments over the course of a game that can swing the outcome. That's a good moment for him to get this third term underway. Well, they've got a lot more work to do. Still down by 31 points, but that is a start. As Downey and Gardner prepare to do battle.
Particularly with the breeze to that left hand side of your screen.
We've got to make the most of it in this quarter. Downey gets first hand to it. Orgel there. Bianco involved, and now Orgel. They go forward, the Dogs. Clark's pickup was clean. Drives it long. Spicer 1-on-1. Went the one hand. Philpott needs to be careful. Taken by Poulter. Over the top, Scott. Jones. One way then the other. Didn't get rid of it. Well done, Fitzgerald.
Yeah, did a great job. Just to hold the momentum. It's 2 in a row now. The Seagulls have been able to hold the Bulldogs back. This kick's going to get really close to the line. And it's going to be paid there to Ebbinger. The kick is pinpoint. Finds Ellison. He's thought about going to Paulson driving by. That's ignored. We'll just go on the 45 and go short. Brown. This is Josh Brown who's got it. In the middle of DSV Stadium. On ball inside 50. Ball falls to the back. And someone take clean possession. Here's another opportunity. It's right to the pocket. And Collier Dawkins got no purchase on that whatsoever. Now the reply's going to go out of bounds on the full. Poulter was just struggling to keep that footy in. Philpott will be tight on the boundary line. Now called to play on. To the hot spot. It goes. Fly over the top by Gadsby. Daniel is there. Good tackling by Gadsby. And the umpire waits for a while, and then we'll toss this footy up. So 48 plays 17. Early stage of this third quarter.
Well, the Dogs getting a little taste of their own medicine. The Gulls putting the pressure on their defence. Ball's locked in.
Push and shove still going on here. The umpire should just throw this footy up. It does.
Everyone neglected the ball. Toner can't get boots a ball. Good tackle.
Well, I
think it was Stretton.
Rich is still involved in the wrestle here. That continued on as the play continued there, Peps.
Yeah, and they've got it at the top of the square here, Williamstown. They don't want to give away a free, but they do that in the ruck contest.
It was Gardner going up against Rich. That was the wrestle that was going on next to the play.
And as a result, Keith was the man in the ruck, and he's the one with the ball now. A little nervy moment there, but able to get boot to ball. Philpott can't hang on. Poulter dispossessed. Goes boundary side, and Hunt's happy to let it go.
It's interesting that, because that is an insufficient intent. Not from the player handballing it to the line, but the players around who just let it roll over. Well, they'll be technical about these things as the ball's tossed back in.
Someone needs to be.
I'll leave that for Adam Sarakoglu. As the ball now, with the Bulldogs' hands, Willoughby to Daniel. Cuts through, could take a bounce. Waits for the forwards to move forward. Jones at the back. Dwyer, Jones again. Now Poulter, got time and space. How's the finish? It's going to be narrow. Move the ball so quickly, don't they? Footscray. Now, what can the Seagulls do on the counter-attack? Fitzgerald, who's going to bring the footy back in. They've rotated the players kicking in. The Seagulls. Collier Dawkins. Long ball flying way too early was Cox, pushing the back as a result. Free kick going to Footscray.
Going to be taken by Bianco. Or is that Orgel? It is Orgel. Just pumps it long. Downey's gotten back in position 1A. Poulter did well to get the fist in. And that'll force a stoppage into attack for Footscray. Only goal of the term so far to Blake Coleman. They're going to need a few more of those, the Towners. High ball, Poulter. Plenty of players underneath it. Park's the only one who really attacked it. And he's able to juggle the mark in the end.
Had to read the breeze as well.
Yep. Not easy to do. I'll tell you what, the Dogs have made it look pretty easy today as an away team. It usually bamboozles opposition teams. Southport struggled with it a little bit last week as the Gulls work it forward. This is more like the Williamstown we know. Conway's a kick and a half from goal.
Dwyer kicked it to him. He had an acre of space and time. No one went to him.
Ellison leading to the pocket. Just couldn't hang on. Buzzling up. Trying hard to get it over the line. Won't do so. Here's Coleman. Can't create anything on that occasion. Daniel scything through the zone of the goals. And they're out of danger now. Gardner pokes it short to Fraser.
Who will go up the line. This is okay. McNeil. Go by a short kick. Scott. That outer side of the ground. Will go short. Cleary. Look to build. Will they build towards the middle of the ground? They might. The switch might be on. Baker's on the opposite wing. All on his own. Said the ball going straight through the middle of the ground. A long kick. And Craig Peters puts it into the path of the goal. Paulson. Just a clearing kick. Just got to trap it here. Fitzgerald does a good job. Gets through the traffic. Excellent work. Can keep going too. Takes a bounce. Thinking about a second. The kick is excellent. Best passage of play from the Seagulls moving up the ground. And Corey Rich has it.
Well, this can't be a carbon copy of the opening term. They need to take advantage of their opportunities going to the left of screen. Corey Rich usually a pretty good finisher.
Well, let's see what we can do on this occasion, but credit there to Joel Fitzgerald, who just didn't blaze away.
Yep.
He assessed his options, could see a path through, and then the pass was pinpoints. So in he comes. Important kick, this one for Rich. Oh yes, he's got that one. So Corey with his first of the afternoon. Another important goal for Williamstown. They've kicked the only 2 goals of this quarter, 10.5 minutes in. They need, as Peps has said, a few more just to get that momentum going. Keep rolling along.
Managed only 1 in the first half. They've already eclipsed that in this term. Still 26 points adrift. Watson, the 23rd man, into the ruck to square off with Downey. He's just a workhorse in there. 50 hitouts back in round 1 against Frankston. And he gets one here. No one really on the end of it, so he has to follow up himself. Does pretty well in the end. Fordham taken to ground. Bianco up to 17 touches. Collier, Dawkins and Fitzgerald and Greiser all with 14 each for Williamstown. Willoughby tracking it, went to ground. Triffett just puts it on the boot. Ebinger couldn't handle it. Fraser did. And Craig Peters puts it into the path of Gilby. Coleman chasing him down. He's got a problem. Just got a handball away. And the Dogs now through Craig Peters on the outer wing. Couple of bounces. Kicks it out on the full.
No,
not on the full.
It came back.
Came back. The crowd gave him the old Bronx cheer as if it went out, but instead, it'll be a throw-in.
Seeing right where that throw-in is, looking out to the bay, there's just some digging operators who are just trying to hang on there. Things getting a little choppy out there as Downey just grabbed it out of the ruck this time. And the body goes. Rich, the last goal, trying to come through. Good punch on there from Daniel to try and set that up. Willoughby, handballed under pressure. Now they come diving in on top. Ball falls there to Triffett. Puts a high ball up. Well, Rich just waiting to see the traffic coming his way. Could have gone for it in the end. Daniel pushed off his kick at the final moment, but still managed to get it to Poulter. His kick up the line is a good one. Stretton. Kai Stretton. Go with a short kick again. Short kick to short kick. Bianco went to Hunts, and now the kick inside 50 is going to be gobbled up. And so, another chance here. Bonner to set them up as they go wide. And O'Dwyer. A short kick. Greiser. The short option is Gadsby. Decided to go longer than that. Much longer. Up towards centre wing. Although not the best of options. This is going to be turned over. Fraser's got it to Daniel. The kick up towards half forward. over the head of Croft. We've said that a couple of times today. But pushed on by Scott, right near the boundary line. Handball's over his head. Here's Croft. He's streaming towards goal. Superb smother. Excellent work there from Fitzgerald again. Staves off another attack and will have it thrown in.
Yep, saved a near certain goal there. But they've still got to defend here, Williamstown. 26 points down. But they are winning the quarter. Watson slaps it, corridor. Craig Peters overran it. Fitzgerald gets boot to ball just. Jones has time to steady. Sends it goalward. They've got the goalkeeper, Williamstown. And O'Dwyer able to intervene. Minton Connell short for Parks. Shorter still to Bonner. Called to play on, and now they're playing with fire. Long ball gets to Downey. Watson just unable to go with him on that occasion. The only problem is he can't kick to himself up the line.
Good try. We have seen that with the Breeze.
Yeah,
it does hold up at times.
Certainly have.
Years.
Evans is going to be the target here. Frazier first hands to it. Aggressive tackle, Gadsby. Makes sure that Jones can't get away. Now we throw it up once again. Collier Dawkins didn't get a kick away. And the free kick's going to be taken by Bianco, who has been terrific today.
Yep, 3 goals. 1 in the first, 2 in the second. Called to play on. Across the ground we go. Keith, half back. Frazier. Short kick. McNeil playing on the half volley. Still got plenty of time here. Goes to the outer side of the ground. Buslinger will kick inside 50. Croft in just over his head. Just struggled with that today. As Trifford, he's struggling at the moment too. Gone. Free kick to the Bulldogs. And it will be Cooper Craig Peters to take it and line up directly in front. Just not letting them get away. Footscray. And for Cooper Craig Peters, a chance for all of the hard graft that Williamstown's put in over the first 16 and a half minutes to just slow that down, reassert the authority. Hasn't quite gotten to the line. Jones there, and we'll have it tossed in. They've done so well, Williamstown, when that ball has gone forward from the Bulldogs just to hold them back. Footscray have only kicked the 2 behinds in this quarter, but they're attacking again. Watson front position, Downey just pushing it towards the back. Jones, first, second, third efforts. Boundary line wins out. We'll have it tossed in.
Approaching time on in this third term. Coleman and Rich with the only 2 goals of the quarter. Bianco again. Rockets a handball to Scott. Puts it into space, but Parks standing tall once again. Straight through the guts. Triffett to Polson. Juked Daniel out of his boots, but then handballed it to him. Conway didn't run where he thought he was going to. Frazier somehow got it away to Daniel. Hunt, and now Poulter. Out wide, Bedendo. Looking for Jones, but O'Dwyer and Fitzgerald do well defensively.
Well, there's one thing to slow the scoring down, but you need to score yourself, and that's where Williamstown, that's the next part of the equation. How they can get the ball moving quickly through the middle of the ground.
And they're not going to have too many more chances going left of screen. Watson at the back. Triffett tries to find a path forward, but ends up hitting it off the side of the boot. Fitzgerald, Greiser, O'Dwyer and Parks, each with 15. The common denominator there is that they're all playing in the defensive half for Williamstown. Bianco 20 to lead everyone. Poulter's got 16 of his own. And it's going to be Williamstown ball. Downey with the ruck free kick. It's got Parks screaming for it in the corridor, but not going to go there. Short to Fitzgerald instead. Evinger up the line. One-on-one with Gilby. The latter did just enough. Now he's swallowed up in the tackle. Margin remains 26.
Yeah, well, again, with the strength of that breeze, it's hard to take a mark coming out in the lead like we've seen with that kick from the Seagulls today as Fordham around the body. That's better. Evinger's got it. Now, this is an interesting angle because we haven't seen a kick from this side of the ground near the boundary line yet. So one from the other side. This one, you can ride the breeze. Shaw would have practiced this plenty of times at this ground across his career. Bring the margin back to 20 points as we hit time on in the third quarter. Off a step. He's got it. No problem at all. And really, with the breeze, that's the best pocket to be in if you're going to be down that end of the ground. Evinger's first of the day for him, and the margin is 20 points into time on now in quarter number 3.
Loved it from the moment it left his boot, didn't he? And it's easy to see why. Fantastic finish from deep in that pocket.
Just a reminder too, the winner of this game will be undefeated and will go to the top of the table, with North Melbourne suffering its first loss of season 2024 to the Box Hill Hawks. So Williamstown notionally on top at the moment from Box Hill and Footscray, but the winner will jump to top spot. If it happens to be Footscray, Williamstown will stay where they are. For now, anyway.
Plenty to play for at the moment. You figure these two teams may be there at the pointy end of the season. Oof. Ricocheted to Fordham. He's tackled. Got the hands free. Toner left it behind. Craig Peters burrowing in. Gilby's in there as well. Put his head over it, and umpire says, I'll take it.
Close do they need to be to Footscray, you feel, heading into the final quarter?
Geez, they'd want to be within a couple of goals at worst, I think.
Yeah.
Brown dispossessed and called holding it. Gilby will take the free. Short to Hunt, who's called to move it on. Finds his target. Broadcast side of the ground, Frazier. Difficult one for Buslinger, but Cox infringed. Front on contact.
Yep. Totally there.
And Buslinger is going to take the free. And just when it seems like Williamstown has something going on, that just something like that will just happen to take away a little bit of momentum. Frazier back to Buslinger. Smother from Philpott, good. And they lock it into their forward half.
So 3 goals in this quarter for Williamstown, 2 behinds for Footscray. Margin was 30 at half time. It's now back to 20. I reckon I agree with you, Peps. They've got to be at least get another goal, maybe 2, because Footscray will have the scoring end in the final term. Fordham throws it onto the boot, almost the mark for Ebinger. Buslinger just throws it onto the boot himself. Ball to the back. Here's Stretton. Is this going to stay in the field of play? It does not, but it is off hands, and we'll have it tossed in. So, as I mentioned, a beautiful afternoon here, despite the windy conditions at DSV Stadium here in Williamstown. Williamstown back here again on Anzac Day, playing against Werribee. It's a big occasion too. I'm sure there'll be a big crowd on hand at this venue as the umpire waits. A big round of footy starting off on Wednesday with Casey and Richmond from the Swinburne Centre. It's ending on the Sunday, so fitting in with the AFL scheduling across the 5 days. Plenty of VFL and VFLW action coming your way right here on afl.com.au. The AFL app, you hook it up to your telly. It's all too technological for me, but you can stream it, you can Chromecast it, you can do whatever you like with it. As this ball tossed in, it's Petrich into the ruck for the Seagulls on that occasion. As the kick here, Willoughby, it's going to be a free kick going the way of Croft. Got one just a little bit high from O'Dwyer. The kick inside 50, still can't take that mark. Ball off hands, Jones going without it. Ball just turned onto the boot by Greiser. It's going to come straight back in again. They load up again. Gilby's kick. They fly. Jones off a step. McNeil trying to bring that ball back. Not going to happen in the bounce of 8. Philpotts, and we'll have it tossed in over on our broadcast side. Another pocket. What have we gone? 25 minutes in this third quarter. There's moments they've done well to hold them back. Williamstown hold Footscray back in this third quarter. The umpire has spotted a free kick. No, it's a blood rule, I think.
Yep, Bedendo.
Bedendo is the player. Good spot by the umpire. That was miles away from where this ball was thrown in. Disappointing for the boundary umpire, who actually had launched that into the air. It actually was pretty reasonable. You're going to have to do it again. So now everyone's in place. Bedendo leaves the field of play. Let's get this back into the air. Let's get going. We're waiting still for Bedendo to leave the field of play. Now we can keep going. As we have this tossed into play. Holds up in the breeze. So they have to move forward to the footy. Minton Connell just throwing, handballing that into space. Willoughby, got his team into all sorts of trouble. He took one high. That will not impress the locals, and McNeil's going to take it. 55 from goal. Feel too far out to score with what the breeze is doing. Lockie McNeil kicked a goal in the second term. We'll just pop it to the top of the goal square. Gardner is the tall target. Here's Willoughby to run onto the footy. Guarded by Toner. Phoenix Spicer will go across the ground. Kick. Excellent kick. And he finds Gilby, who again is in that position of being too far out to score. But he'll play on. Give himself a few more metres. It holds up in the breeze again. Gardner! He almost took the mark. Philpott may have been taken high, and the umpire's seen it, and the Seagulls will get out of trouble again.
Philpott last line of defence. Looking for Ebenjart, and got him. Or an arm chop.
It's smart by Poulter.
Yep.
Just to hold that footy up.
It's giving his teammates time to get back and clog things up. Petrich the target here. Got a hand to it. Gilby at the back. Cleary. Ellison bearing down on him. McNeil. Craig Peters. Dogs under pressure, but Craig Peters gets rid of Fordham and takes a couple of bounces through the corridor. Still going, Craig Peters. Looking for a target inside 50. Baker outran everyone, but was taken to ground by the legs.
Yeah, it's unlucky, isn't it?
Oh, that could have been exciting.
Unlucky for you. Unlucky for the Williamstown defence.
And that free kick happened right in front of the grandstand. They're not happy. But Baker seems to think he might be half a chance here.
Well, he certainly was there. It certainly was there, that free kick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that was a clear legging. It was just unfortunate you can't stick the tackle, but Baker was coming at such speed.
Yeah. It's difficult to stop. Starts his run up on the fence. Deliberate approach. Oscar Baker. It's going to fall short. Gardner, not quite. Bonner trying to force it through, and does. Even if it was a little bit dubious looking. But just the one behind.
So the ball immediately making its way out. It's going to come straight back in again. Bianco can't give him that sort of space. Kick into the pocket. Jones caught at the back. And Parks from position. Quells another attack. Done that well, the Seagulls. They just haven't been able to keep putting that pressure on the scoreboard. And that is three-quarter time. So an interesting quarter of football. 28 and three-quarter minutes. 4-5-29 Williamstown. They kicked 3 goals in that quarter to take us away.
They've turned up in numbers today for this one. And so far, they won't be too happy with what they've seen, but still an outside chance as Collier Dawkins is wrapped up. They were able to stem the bleeding in terms of conceding goals in that third term, but they just probably didn't get as many going the other way as they would have liked. Downey tries to take territory with the hit out, but Craig Peters gets the first kick forward for the Dogs. Bonner, in fact Parks it was, leading Spice up. Sweeping handball over the top, ends up with Craig Peters. He's taken to ground, umpire lets it go. That one's high. So the Dogs get a break here. McNeil has it right on centre wing. Honours the lead. Willoughby. Downey's back in the hole. Couldn't take the mark. O'Dwyer just hoiks it high out of defence, and that's a strong mark taken in the end by Gadsby. Kicked a couple of goals last week, was very impressive. Haven't seen as much of him today. Short for Bonner, too short because he's called to play on. Clark's lurking here, this could be dangerous. Minton Connell got into his back. The kick just hung up in the air too long, and Minton Connell had no choice but to try and take body.
Yeah, it's unfortunate again, but that kick not being able to find its target, and they've been so stagnant today. It's been more the pressure that the Bulldogs have put on them.
Hasn't kicked a goal yet today, Clark, but he has now.
No. Has he?
Yep.
Yep.
Puts it through.
I thought for a second there that had taken the post. It was clearly behind the post.
First of the last goes to the Dogs, and it was already pretty difficult for Williamstown, but it's even more difficult now.
Yeah, that does make it tough, and particularly with Footscray having the breeze in this final quarter. The players with Clark now kicking his first of the afternoon. Who could push for selection? Obviously, spots are going to be hard to come by with the Bulldogs winning so well on Thursday night.
Yeah, not to mention Liberatore and Ugle-Hagan to come back in as well.
Yeah.
Their walk-up starts.
Yes. I think might be players, the ilk of Caleb Daniel might be spending another week here in the VFL team. But the VFL team having a bye next week. Holding going on here. And Downey will take the free kick. Wants to get on with it quickly, but looks up and doesn't see a hell of a lot that he likes. Got players driving by. There's Collier Dawkins' kick going wide. Too wide, it's out of bounds on the full. So another turnover. And the fading sunshine here at Williamstown. Luke Cleary, quiet game for him as he wheels around. He's run a long way. Too far, the umpire said. Now again, is Williamstown just too slow to get the ball back here? Evinger again looks up, and this has been the problem all game for Williamstown. Have to go the short option, Fordham. Perhaps mentioned that they're leading the marks tally quite comfortably, and this is why, because they're having to do short kicking around the ground. Almost just tempted to bomb it long, and that's exactly what's happening here. Pressure with the front position for Footscray. Ball near the line. Poulter's just going to hack it forward. Oh, fortuitously, McNeil. Handball across. Willoughby will go a little bit wider. Bedendo, he's got time. Should draw the defender. Handball inside 50. McNeil, he's got all the time in the world. He just strolls in and misses. And there's a few other players who'll be putting their hands up too, including Charlie Clark, who was looking for one there too.
He loves a goal, Charlie Clark. Well, all small forwards do, really. O'Dwyer. No one stood the mark. Drew Spicer to him. Minton Connell in board. Finds Paulson. Fordham. Triffett. This looks a little bit better from Williamstown. And they've got the mark inside 50. Josh Brown. It's going to be a difficult shot, though, with the wind the way it is.
You also got the tall Alex Keith down there. Downey's now getting down there.
Yeah, but instead he's going to pass it off to Paulson, but he's more or less the same distance on a slightly worse angle. So not too much of a net gain in this situation. Paulson not looking like he's going to have a shot, but he doesn't have much to go to. Eventually finds Collier Dawkins, but he was outnumbered by Dogs, and now they're away on the counter. Clark, though, turns it over by hand. Parks has been a rock in defence all day under immense heat. Goes again, Parks. Brown turns an opponent nicely, but then runs into all sorts of trouble. Triffett tries to turn the tide. Bedendo's in there and locks it in. And, well, Pete, that was a bit of a mess.
It was in the end. Get the numbers back, did Footscray. Mind you, when they had the ball there, they really couldn't kick it forward because there was no one up ahead for them. Downey. Triffett is brought down. So I'll do it all again. 2 goals already in this quarter for Footscray. Make it nigh on impossible for Williamstown from here. Here's Caleb Daniel, whose long kick into the pocket. Almost there, taking the mark. First and second efforts here from Scott. Managed to get that ball away. Back to Daniel. It's been guarded by Bonner. Bedendo into the pocket-o. And that'll be thrown in-o.
Thank you, Peter Mercado.
Yes, as the umpire scurries across to pick up that footy. One more will definitely make sure of it from a Footscray point of view, you feel. 8 minutes or 7.5 minutes into this final quarter. Watson caught at the back. Downey the front position. Triffett. How long was he hanging on to that footy for?
Dangerous tackle.
Yep. He got away with one there. So they just can't get anything. No free movement here. They just haven't been fluid going forward. No freedom, really. And this is what they've had to do. Kick over the mark and try and kick to a pack of players. And Downey was the target that time. And we'll have it thrown in on that outer side.
The Dogs lead it by 28 points. Bianco 22 disposals, the most on the ground. Paulson 18 for Williamstown. Downey flirted with taking possession, instead tapped it down. And the ball not coming out on that occasion.
Next run for the Bulldogs after the bye. They've got Box Hill at home, Richmond away, and the Giants away. There's a tough run coming. They're banking these wins important.
It is. They're going to be 4-0 after today, it would appear. Craig Peters shovels a handball out to Baker, runs himself into trouble. He's almost had a couple of thrilling moments today. Oscar Baker as Fordham is taken to ground. Had it for a little while, but not too long, according to the umpire. Ball tossed in. Leaving it behind was Paulson. Daniel. Over to Stretton, who just bangs it long. Through a couple of sets of hands. And Bedendo couldn't keep it alive.
The run for Williamstown, I should mention too. I mentioned that game against Werribee here on Anzac Day. Then they got Casey away, Essendon at home, and Carlton at home. So a couple of big clashes coming up at DSV Stadium. They're playing their home games early this season. The Williamstown Football Club, or plenty of them anyway, is Downey trying to get that ball to grounds. No one's going to be able to get clear of this contest. Caleb Daniel is held up, and the umpire will come in and intervene again. As we work our way through the first part of the Smithies VFL for 2024. Ogle and Bonner and Boundary Line all combining there. Formidable Footscray lineup. These names, mentioned Caleb Daniel there, but Caleb Poulter, Jim Buslinger's a longer term prospect for the club. And here's a quick kick out of the pack, dribbling forward from Scott right to the top of the goal square. Clark held up for an eternity. The umpire eventually will come in and intervene. And of course, the quality of Trent Bianco, who's on the Bulldogs VFL list. Ball right near the line, ricochets as Josh Brown tries to get his kick away. We'll have it tossed in. Cooper Craig Peters has also been excellent today for Footscray.
18 disposals for him.
This ball, this will be a tough ask for the boundary umpire. Into the breeze it goes, it holds up. Watson with the front position this time for Footscray. And clearing kick, Collier Dawkins, just outside 50. And we'll have it tossed in again. Hunt seeing the ball over.
A little bit of a lull over the crowd here.
You suspect if this scoreline holds, we get to 20 minutes, you just shake hands and walk off, wouldn't you? The end of the game. Sun's starting to go down. Lights aren't on yet.
I'm sure there'd be a few people who'd be happy to do that. Paulson.
Us.
Well, speak for yourself. We'll throw it up. Not a lot happening at the moment. Just the one goal in the quarter. Went to Charlie Clark. Ogle spirals it inside 50. Bonner handled it well. Greiser. Fitzgerald. Back to Greiser. The Dogs still pressuring the Seagulls defenders, even with the scoreboard the way it is, and Watson's able to intercept. The 23rd man today, playing his first Smithies VFL game. Just sets it up to let his targets go to work. Off hands. Throw it up. So Bianco 22 disposals. Craig Peters 18. Daniel and Poulter each with 17. As the ball's cleared, but only momentarily. We'll get a boundary throw in from a Williamstown perspective. Greiser 19, Fitzgerald and Paulson 18, followed by Fordham, O'Dwyer and Parks on 17. And just for your note, Peter, they have topped the 100 marks now, Williamstown, up to 105. But it hasn't really gotten them anywhere today. Scott takes it away. Wobbles it towards goal. Will it have the carry? No.
So, margin 29. The Seagulls just trying to get some run out of defence. They won't. This is going to be cut off. Another mistake inside defensive 50 from the Seagulls, and Bedendo kicked a goal in the second quarter. And will definitely make sure of things if he's able to put it through here. Just the pressure, relentless from the Bulldogs right from the opening quarter. And let's see what Dom Bedendo can do to finish this off. The breeze just dropping ever so slightly in this final quarter. The breeze dropping like the temperature. 49 outs. Is this going to come back? Oh, yes, it will. Quality finish. Bedendo with his second of the afternoon. And, well, that is pretty much the ball game if you're a Footscray supporter, because you're going to be on top of the table, continue undefeated in season 2024. And looking very, very good as the front-running team in the early stages of this season of the Smithies VFL.
Certainly are at the moment. Dom Bedendo, another one who's potentially on the fringe of AFL selection, has had a lot of injuries over his time on the list, has played a handful of games at the top level, so he has been in calculations, but trying to work himself back in there will be a difficult task. Petrich tried to direct it down to Fordham. Now he's over the top of it. Ball spills free. Spicer couldn't quite be clean. Bianco a handball. Dangerous one. Toner. Now Ellison has had a quiet day, as has Brown. Was he held without it? Umpire says no. McNeil has Triffett trailing him. Messy stuff. Bianco goes back in and Ellison wraps him up.
Oh, the lights are on.
They are?
Well, they're slowly coming on anyway, taking a little while to fire up.
16 minutes into the final term. Daniel shovels it forward. Greiser first to it. Triffett. Now Paulson wants to take it on, but handball ill-directed. Baker gets rid of a couple of tackles. Then turns it over himself, and Fordham just says, I've had enough of this. I'm sending it forward, but only as far as Fraser, who's been impressive off half-back.
Yeah, agree. And just goes long.
Oh.
Look at this. Spicer all on his own. Uncontested mark. Little low spearing ball inside 50. Gatsby almost went into the back there of Croft. And it's holding the footy, the results. It wasn't one way, it was going to be the other. And this is dangerous too, because Rich has got to sit under the footy under pressure. Gee, well, that's a superb mark. Gilby bearing down. Got him in the end. So mark or free kick, take your pick. I'll take mark because it was more impressive.
Looks better on the stat sheet.
Sure does. Now called to play on. Not sure that's 15. So Paulson will kick up the line and turn over the footy. And here's Poulter to Daniel. Go on the right. Interesting. Into the pocket. Still be effective to McNeil. So McNeil. This is not the pocket you want to be kicking from with the breeze and what it's been doing across the four quarters today. Kicked a goal in the second term. Lockie McNeil. He's going to come around. He'll curve. And he's going to hold up in the breeze right to the line. Didn't get there in the end. Still here for the Bulldogs, or has it? Now, the umpires come in and signalled that it should be a behind. We can't have a score review. We're too far away from it. Discussion between goal umpire and field umpire here. Did this go over the line? It's one behind. Try again. As this ball comes back in. Oh, it's dangerous every time they try and exit here. Fitzgerald's been great for the Seagulls today. His kick over the top. Collier Dawkins. Time to wheel around. Eminger outmarked by Keith. Good defensive mark for Footscray.
No rush to move it on. Alex Keith. Short to Gilby. Now Cleary. Gilby again. Good kick for Willoughby. He's got Clark all on his own. Shut down by Parks, but Clark drives it long anyway to the even number contest. Croft got a hand to it. O'Dwyer able to mop up, but it's turned over straight to Daniel.
A lot of those inside the Bulldogs attacking 50.
The frontal pressure has been terrific today from the Dogs. And Daniel put a cherry on top as we approach time on.
And just that pressure. I mean, gosh, Stuart Edge will be so pleased with this performance from his team today.
Yep.
Start to finish, it's been a complete performance. They deserve to be on top of the ladder. They are the front runners at the moment.
This will be Daniel's 20th disposal of the day. And he puts his name on the score sheet with a goal. 42 points, the Footscray lead.
Well, it's been a big weekend, hasn't it, for Footscray and the Western Bulldogs?
Yep.
After all the pressure and all the talk during the week about how they're going, particularly at, well, especially at AFL level, VFL level, they're getting the job done. Only blemish, of course, their VFLW team losing earlier today at this ground. But I think all is rosy again at Whitten Oval, even just for this week.
Yep, for a week at least.
So back into the middle we go. Into time on. The Bulldogs making good use of the breeze, as they did in the second quarter. Collier Dawkins, former target, works it into the middle of the ground. Hands. Gardner works it back Gilby. Through traffic Cleary. Gardner again, just being worried off the footy, but they still get away. Buslinger, good job. Little short kick by Bianco. Orgill goes over the head there of Bianco. And it should be taken over the boundary line. It will be by Collier Dawkins. And we'll have it thrown in on that outer side. Lights on here as the sun, the last remnants of it, makes its way to the end of DSV Stadium, that end of the ground. Gardner doing the ruck work. Quick kick out of the pack. Buslinger just sat under the footy, now being 360 in a tackle, had plenty of time. Brown wrapped him up. The umpire will come in and sort all of this out. So big win coming up for Footscray here over the Seagulls. Petrich dragged down in the tackle. Orgill, ball eventually extracted. Cooper Peters across to Caleb Daniel. The kick heading forwards. O'Dwyer meeting it on the half volley. Just handballs out into vacant space. Well, Bianco is there. Now he's dragged down in the tackle. He's had plenty of time, and it'll be a turnover holding the footy.
They look corridor. Minton Connell. Paulson. Short for Greiser. He'll go further wide to Ebinger. Turns and goes. Ellison wants it deep. It's in that direction. Buslinger gets the spoil, but straight to Rich, who finishes beautifully from the pocket.
That's a superb kick.
Certainly is. He's second of the day. A lot of skill in that. Brings the margin back to 6 goals.
Well, their first score of the quarter. The Bulldogs putting on 3 goals, 3. Wonderful pick up there too. Just in close quarters, just to bring that footy back, to get around a couple. So time winding down, 23.5 minutes gone. Footscray moving to the top of the Smithies VFL ladder and remaining undefeated. Gardner, ruck work with Petrich. Trying to come through again. Collier Dawkins finding some space. Kick inside, or towards the 50, I should say. And here's Josh Brown, who's got it. Getting on with it quickly. Top of the goal square. Ebinger flew, couldn't bring it down, but now they've got a chance. Is this ball coming back from Toner? It's there. So a couple in a minute for Williamstown. Jack Toner kicks his first of the afternoon. And they're getting some goals just to finish things off here.
Yeah, 4th of the season for Toner. Front and square. Able to bring it around the corner enough.
Well, finally getting some free space. It's the best bit of footy we've seen for the Seagulls going forward. They're being allowed to actually move the footy with some ease. As we wind down here, what are we up to? 25 minutes gone now, back to 30 points.
Yeah, feels like the Dogs have just taken the foot off the accelerator a touch. They led it by 7 goals just a minute or two ago. Back in the middle. Garner wins it down, but straight to Fordham. Minton Connell off half back. Rich one-on-one with Cleary. Call it a draw as it ends up over the line.
Oof.
And
why would you do that now?
well, the two of them. Well, Rich is actually taking on 3 Dogs. Now just 2 of them. But we'll throw it in anyway. No harm, no foul, I guess. Craig Peters shovels it out, but straight to Minton Connell, who wore some heavy contact.
Yep, that's one way of describing it.
Off to Greiser. Wants the short target, but Bianco, best on ground today. Disposal number 26.
Handy when you say you're coming up to the mid-season draft.
Absolutely. People are keeping an eye on him to get a second chance on an AFL list, and, well, it may even be at the Dogs. They're not shy of promoting from within. Plenty of Footscray players have made the step up over the last 5 or 6 years.
And I'm playing today.
Yeah. Anthony Scott, one of them. Caleb Poulter as well. As it's taken forward by Willoughby. Here's Spicer. Can he conjure some late magic? Puts it into the path of Clark, and that was a well-weighted ball. The Smalls combining for Footscray.
Yep, and just that little flurry from the Seagulls, just a minor blip here for the Bulldogs.
Clark kicked one from a very similar spot earlier in the term. He's going to go around the corner again. And he guides it home. Clark's got a couple. And the margin is 36 points once again.
Yeah, classy outfit, aren't they, Footscray? And they're able to move that footy so quickly. And they've had some big wins along the journey. And really start to open things up. They opened things up against Essendon sort of after half-time last week. There's a few spectators making their way for the exit. A few people just getting themselves ready to head home. After what's been a big day, double header, spread out double header, because the Rebel VFLW game was at 10 o'clock this morning. So there's been a big gap in the middle. Here's Toner working there. So they work it around here, the Seagulls. The kick looking for Coleman, off hands Gadsby. They might get some run again. Brought down Fordham at the crucial moments. He's on the ground, not sure if he's okay. He's taking a while to get to his feet. And meanwhile, ball here, path of Willoughby. He just cop one as he gets to his feet. Goes wide, Orgul. Arms chopped by Rich anyway. Would have taken a free kick. Stand-in skipper, the vice-captain usually. Liking this whole captaincy thing because he's undefeated. Inside 50, that mark's not going to be paid. No way that was going to happen, so Clark lays the tackle. And Dwyer can hand the footy back to the umpire. Not long to go now, you feel. In this competition, the quarters go abnormally long. We'll have it tossed in. So we're up to 29 minutes now. Gone. 36-point lead to Footscray. Ball holding up in the breeze. Petrich spilling free. Fitzgerald will go wide into the path of Coleman, who just needs to release the footy. Stolen away by Spicer. Did well. Oh, gee, they've done well. Scott again. Inside 50. Chance for one more. It's going to carry the pack and roll through. It's the day they're having. And that margin is out to 42 points. And Scott gets his first of the evening.
Yeah, and 11 of their 12 goals have been to the left of screen today.
8 different goal kickers, 2 for Footscray.
They've made the most of the scoring end when they've had it, which is more than you can say for the Seagulls today. A little bit wasteful going forward. A little bit going on behind the ball as well. While we're getting ready in the middle. There's been plenty of feeling between these two sides today. Petrich almost unopposed. Craig Peters, though, will exit the front of the stoppage. Have they got time for one more?
Yep.
McNeil.
From that distance, absolutely.
Will have a crack.
He should just take his time, go back and have the shot. Deserves it, Lockie McNeil.
Well, the siren may not be too far away. Has got one today, McNeil. He loads up from 50. Yep, it's there. No.
Ooh.
Oh, it looked good. It looked good.
You called that early.
I called it very early, and I was made to look a right fool.
We won't hold it against you.
Not the first time.
Fitzgerald to bring the footy back into play.
Certainly won't be the last.
Playing our time. Now, was that
Was
a
that the
siren?
siren? I think it was.
There we go. Someone ring it properly. Here we go. That's sort of a half-hearted siren, but a big win for Footscray. 12-12-84 to Williamstown, 6-5-41. A comprehensive performance in the end, and Footscray will top the table here in this Smithies VFL. They continue undefeated, 4-0, the first loss for Williamstown for season 2024. A whole host of multiple goal kickers, but Trent Bianco, the best player.